Hey guys, welcome back. It's December. We are within 1 week of Christmas and it's winter. So you know us car guys, we've got to get a project going. And I think I found something pretty interesting. No, it's not the Touareg, but it is what the Touareg is towing. Welcome to my new camper project. Let's start with, what is this, or what did it used to be? It's clearly a truck frame that's been converted into a trailer. It's sort of a utility bed, mini box truck sort of setup. It's an all aluminum box. Looking at photos underneath and some of the cross members and some of where the exhaust hangers used to mount, it's very clearly a Ford Courier or a Mazda pickup. They share the same chassis. Under the paint here, it does say SC Supreme. Not sure if that's the manufacturer of the bed. Maybe that was added later. There also looks to be maybe some sort of ID stickers under here. There's still masking tape from when it was painted. Clearly there's quite a bit of stuff that we're gonna have to do to make this a usable camper. But why do I like it? The measurements of this thing means it should fit a full queen size bed, not just a camper queen size bed. Haven't actually tested that out yet. And when we insulate and build the walls in a little bit, that might goof some things up for me. I also like that it's aluminum. So I hope I can strip the paint off of it. We'll have a few holes to patch up somehow, but want to just leave it raw, somewhat of a polished aluminum look. Think of Airstream, but not aerodynamic at all. Also think of it as a teardrop, but not teardrop shaped. So inside will essentially be sleeping quarters. I want to put a toolbox on the front where all the kitchen cooking supplies can go. Maybe have some sort of awning that opens up, some sort of tent that can go on the back for extra living space if you need it. But just want to make it so you could hop in it and sleep if you needed to, or you could set up kind of a larger camp. I don't like the idea of having to tow a big camping trailer, but I get the amenities of it. So I'm trying to balance the want to be able to just quickly go somewhere, have everything loaded up, but not have this huge thing that you're towing with you, and have it be sort of scalable depending on needs. So you can just camp in it all compact, or you can set up the other tents around it. I put a little concept drawing together to show what this rig looks like in my head. There are a few oddities as well. Notice on this side, that's a 225/75/15 tire. If we go to the other side here, that's a 205/75 14-inch tire. Yes, it has a smaller wheel and tire on this side than it does on the other side. It's a little bit noticeable when you look just from the rear. It's very noticeable when you're on level ground and realize the whole trailer is tilted to the left. I've started acquiring some parts like new tail lights. It's gonna have brake lights, tail lights, turn signals. I'm also gonna put reverse lights on it, just backing into a campground. It's nice to be able to see, especially if you get in at dark. And then I got, I think, a pretty decent set of trailer wheels and some all-terrain tires. I want this to be a little bit of an off-road build. Will it see off-road? Hopefully at least once. So where do we start with it? Well, I'd like to get the paint stripped off. That way I'm not putting lights in and then having to take it off, putting the wheels and tires on and having to take them off. Just so they don't get damaged by the paint stripper. Then once the paint is stripped off and at least kind of cleaned up, doesn't have to be perfect yet, but I'll be able to get the lights and any reflectors, side markers, there's a few little holes in the body, can patch up, get the wheels and tires on. And then we do have to take it in to get registered, and they have to do a little inspection and give me a identification plate to put on it. got to replace the locks on the side. One of them doesn't have a key and it's locked. It's a totally different style than the one on the other side. So got a new set of handles to put on. One door here is the original aluminum. One's just a plate of steel. I want to build one whole like RV style door, probably with a window in it somehow and an RV latch. So then this can open and close. I want to put windows on the side. Might try and put a pop top on it at some point. But that's all kind of dreaming in the future. Let's look inside real quick. So it's definitely a little cozy in here, but like I said, it's the size of a queen size bed. I'm gonna have to build a little bit of a platform to get up over the wheel wells. That'll give me some storage underneath. I might build a drawer that pulls out, have a couple little pockets on the side where I can maybe mount some electrical or possibly put access doors and have just little storage space. Might just make the bed tilt up and put stuff in from back here also. Got to put a little bit of insulation, finish the walls in here, do whatever I'm going to do with the roof. And that's kind of it. It's going to be pretty minimal. I'm going to have some switches on this wall just to turn on lights. I want to be able to turn on the tail lights too while I'm at the campground, just to give some outside lighting. I want to keep it pretty minimal, but functional. So we'll find a good bed. I like that the sides fold down. I'll put windows in these fold down doors, but then it'll give me some access too, just for, when I'm at the campground, making the bed. You're not trying to do it within such a tight space. You have some access, even just loading the trailer up with stuff, chairs and whatnot. Or if it's a really nice day, just fold them down and you kind of have this wide open experience. Depending on how the wheels and tires fit, I might have to do an axle flip. The axle's currently above the leaf springs. Might have to flip it to below the leaf springs. I like the height of everything right now. Like there's some pretty decent ground clearance. It's not that much taller than the Touareg, so aerodynamics are all right. But we'll just have to see when those are on there. I'm willing to do it if I have to. And that's really about it. Might sound simple. It's going to take more time than it sounds, of course, and I'm sure some things will change along the way. But follow along. This is going to be a multi-part series. We're going to take it in steps. We might even take it out halfway finished at some point just to test things out and make sure it's going the way I expect. So let's get started. We're going to test out some paint stripper. The big downside is it's 40 degrees out here and it's going to get colder. Paint stripper works best when it's warm out. That heat really helps it go. We're going to scuff it because that's going to help the paint stripper kind of get into the paint some. Then we're going to brush on the paint stripper and we're going to put a plastic sheet on it. We'll just kind of fold this out, drape the sheet on, and we're going to let it set. This paint stripper says that it will strip paint to bare metal in 45 minutes, but with how cold it is, I'm probably going to give it a couple hours and then check back. This is some pretty nasty stuff. There's some pretty harsh fumes. I'm not gonna do very big areas at a time just because I don't want a bunch of buildup of fumes and such. Just gonna drape this inside. It should hopefully help. Help it stay moist and do its job. Well, it's been about 3 hours and we're starting to see some paint peeling, but definitely not the fast progress that we are looking for. Again, it is in the low 40s out here right now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna peel this up once more, put just one more coating, because it does seem a little dry in some spots, and then we'll let it sit overnight once again and take a look. All right, it's been a little over 24 hours. I can see that there's pretty good progress. There's a couple spots that I'm a little concerned about, but I'm gonna go ahead and take the plastic out, set it to the side, then we're gonna try scraping some of it. Looks like we might have a few layers to contend with here. So I use those fiber discs, and it is nice that I can just kind of go at my own pace and I don't have to worry about the paint remover. The only downside is it gets very dusty. But I went over with the sort of medium disc, the fine disc, and then I actually took just a buffing wheel on a drill, and that's turning out pretty good. All right, it's a new day. It's after Christmas, the day before New Year's Eve now, and we're gonna try something new. Instead of chemically stripping it, got myself one of these surface reconditioners. This is just a cheap one off of Amazon. It's clearly just an angle grinder that's been rotated and has this shaft or arbor or whatever for one of these I think these are like 4.5 inch big wide flap discs. Don't want to go too crazy with altering the texture of the aluminum underneath, but do want to make sure I can get the paint off in a quick manner. I've got some dust protection. I've got the cars covered, and a filter sitting on top of the trailer here that I'm going to turn on. That didn't last long. I chipped the breaker. I only got 20 amps running out to the garage right now. I had a space heater, all of the lights on, the air filter going. So, shut a bunch of that off now. We just have half the lights on, nothing else, and we'll give this a shot again. It's admittedly a little bit slower and a lot noisier than I was expecting. So we're just going to do kind of a test here. We're not going to go too late because it's already getting a little late in the evening and don't want to bother the neighbors. So let's give it another shot. Hopefully we don't trip the breaker again. So you can kind of see the steps here. This was 240 with the sandpaper in between the flaps, 320 with the sandpaper in between the flaps. Somewhere around here is about 320 without the sandpaper, and then 400, and then 600. These last three all without sandpaper. When you look at the reflection as we move across, you can definitely see that it improves as we go. It's not a mirror finish, but it kind of gives you a nice satin look. It's a new day here. It's supposed to get up to 45 degrees. It's only about 38, 39, something like that right now. But I'm gonna work on this outside for the most part. I got a slightly more aggressive grit wheel here. This is 120 instead of the 240. So I'm hoping that'll cut through this even quicker. Before taking it outside though, I'm gonna take just all the like side markers, anything that's kind of like stuck on. I'm gonna try and take it off, and then we'll wheel it outside. I also want to remove this bracket that's holding this toolbox on, cut off some of the extra stuff here too while it's outside. All of these side markers are still taped over. Maybe it was just a reverse light. Like, if you're gonna paint this, why not just scrape these off first instead of just painting over stuff? Let's get this bad boy wheeled out of here. That's gonna take hours to finish grinding that. At some point, I'd like to pull the box off and clean the frame up, but we're gonna leave it as is. It's good enough to where I can like mock stuff up. I'm gonna pull the roof rack off, and then we're gonna get to sanding it. That's going to take a very long time. So since I'm out here and since it's nice, I'm going to try the paint stripper again, let it sit on here for 2 or 3 hours. Even if it gets some of it off, that saves me a little bit of time sanding it off. Well, I've taken a little bit of a side venture. Wanted to see what a heat gun and a scraper would do. Now, downside is it does kind of end up tin canning the aluminum. I'm hoping maybe I can heat it back up and put some cold water or something on it to shrink it back up. But it's working pretty well. I'm about 15 minutes into this stretch here, and working around the lights are a little tricky. About a half an hour to get to here. I think I'm gonna shift directions for the time being. Give the paint stripper a little bit more time on that side. I think I'm gonna take these doors off. I'm gonna reuse these side ones, and I'm gonna replace the whole rear. But just to kind of strip those off, simplify the area that I have to work with. I could, pull these out on a nice day and strip them, and not have to move the whole trailer in and out. I think it'll just be nice to have things kind of broken up. I'm gonna pull this off just to see where we're at, and then gonna decide what we do next. I want to get this door off either way. We might be at a point where we can start scraping some stuff. Let's just give it a shot and find out. So on the front here, did a little bit better than I was expecting. It's still not necessarily just falling off, but it's definitely softened up a lot of it. On the corner here, it did some work, but not really the whole, just in parts really. On the sides here, doesn't seem like it really did a whole lot. There's maybe like a couple little patches here and there, but all in all, still got quite a ways to go. So that's a bummer. I've got like maybe an hour and a half, maybe an hour left that I want to work on this and then start cleaning it up. I kind of started putting some things away, but we'll just see how far we get in an hour. So we actually took the day off today to do some more, because when I finished last time, I started getting on a roll, and I just kind of want to spend a few hours doing that. We have kind of a freak day here in January where it's going to be 60 degrees, not normal at all for Nebraska. So took a half day from work and just going to see how far I can get in a couple hours. I'm not going to worry about getting around all the rivets real close. I just want to see kind of these broad areas, how far I can go in 3 or 4 hours here. So we're going to kick off some time lapses and just see where we go. So we're at the 1 hour mark. So in that hour, covered all of this and got this side. When I started the other day, I had a 320 grit drum that I was using here. Then I switched to another drum that I didn't know the grit of. It came with the machine and it just said it was a stripping drum. Turns out it was 80 grit, so quite a jump. It did remove it. It did remove the paint quite a bit faster, but it's left some pretty annoying grooves that are going to take some time to get out on their own. And honestly, it wasn't faster enough to justify the extra work going up from 80 grit to like 120 to 240, going up through the grits to get it all uniform. I did get a 240 grit, which is what I switched to over here. And I think that's kind of a sweet spot where it still removes pretty quick. It's definitely slower than the 80 grit, but not too bad. And it leaves a nice enough finish that you could probably even just leave it as is, but I plan on going up through the grits and kind of polishing it a little bit. So I'm gonna have to go back over all this 80 grit. You saw me do a little bit of that. And I think I'm gonna order a few more of those 240 grit drums to use on the rest of it. So I'm just gonna see if I can get this side cleaned up and uniform. I do have some drill attachments for around the rivets that I might try out too. So just give it a whirl. Well, that gets one side mostly stripped. 3 hours into it today, plus probably the hour I spent the other day and the stripping experiment. We're probably 4 or 5 hours into just getting here on one side. Oh, not to mention wore out probably 3 of the drums just doing this side. I'm really debating. I could do this in the garage and it's just gonna get dust everywhere. I have covered the Volvo. The 911 is covered. You can see what it's done to me. I could come out here and just do a little bit at a time, which would kind of be nice, but it's gonna be cold again soon, like within the next couple of days, and it's just dusty. But that's probably the best thing if I want to keep moving on this. Otherwise, it's gonna take me a few months just to finish the outside, which is not what I expected. I am happy to see one side as far along as it is. And I think that's where we're gonna wrap it up for this video. Hopefully next time you see me, the outside will be stripped and we'll be starting on kind of our next pieces, probably the wiring. Hope to see you back here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.